one story on one hand and also the starting of Bhagavad Gita and looking at Bhagavad Gita from different perspectives is what will also tell you many things. Is also give a different dimension to you on Bhagavad Gita. So I'm going to tell you now what is the starting point of Bhagavad Gita and what is the end point of Bhagavad Gita. How it starts, because I was discussing with you the relevance of Bhagavad Gita in our day-to-day life. Now if you look at the situation of the war, if you look at the situation when Bhagavad Gita was told, it's very interesting. A spiritual text, a highest respected spiritual text, where it should be told. If you want to learn the maximum, like the best knowledge that takes you to the enlightenment, what is a place to learn about it? Quiet, calm, under a tree, beautiful nature around, a wise, realized guru, someone in front of you, in front of all of us, and then he is enlightening us on every aspect of yoga, and we are asking him questions. That would be the perfect background. Like Upanishads, the Vedanta philosophy. If you have seen a picture of a beautiful huge tree, mango tree, lot of mangoes hanging, and then disciples sitting down and looking at the Guru. And the Guru is sitting and he's telling, okay, this is it. And then an antelope grazing there. And then a little dog sitting next to the Guru. So nice. It's the best place, like so peaceful, so quiet, very healthy, no pollution. But interestingly, the place chosen for Bhagavad Gita is war. The situation is crazy. On one side, there's few million people with their weapons, and they say that time they had nuclear weapons as well. And they had smaller nuclear weapons which could be mounted on the arrows. Brahmastra, Parjanyastra, Agnyastra, they are the names of that. And there are references that time in Mahabharata they had nuclear testing sites where they used to fire the weapons, and they used to call it Gondwan. Gondwan. And in the middle of Australia, they call it the land of Gondwana, which is all desert and which the Americans are using for their nuclear testing. You know this? You don't know this? Even the Australians are not allowed to go in some areas. It's all controlled by US. You don't know this?
To go where?
In Australia, in the middle of it. Because the geography, the geographies, they say that Australia was attached to the India and then it separated out. That's what they say. Anyway, so one army is standing on one side with no problem. You're welcome. And another army which is standing on the other side. And this is an all-out war. Like, it's not like a trial war, or it's not like a war for some kind of peace treaty and negotiations. There's no way of negotiations. They have come to a point, both the armies have come to a point where either you live or I live. When death is so evident, when death is so sure, at that time, this Arjuna, King Arjun, the Prince Arjun, starts feeling anxious. And who is friends with Arjun? None other than Lord Krishna. He's a friend, he's a chariot driver. So Krishna is driving a chariot. Arjuna is a charioteer, the warrior in the chariot. And he starts feeling anxious. Why he starts feeling anxious? Because in the opposite army, he has his own relatives standing in front of him, ready to fight. Those same people who loved him are now fighting against him. The great grandfather Bhishma, now you know that reference, Bhishma, is fighting against Arjuna. His guru, Arjuna's guru, Dronacharya, he is fighting against him. The Kauravas, all his cousins, it's a family fight. Fight for the kingdom. It has reached to a point where intense stress, death. After a few moments, the death will start spreading everywhere. Wherever you will look, there will be dead people. In the middle of that, when Arjuna asks some questions, the answer that Krishna gives is Bhagavad Gita. It is the answer to the questions of Arjuna. And what questions he asks? The whole first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called as Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Vishada is suffering, misery, pain, despondency, extreme depression. Arjuna gets depressed. And what is the cause of his depression? His depression. That must be understood. The background and everything I'll tell you. But what Arjuna feels, Arjuna starts by telling Krishna that, look, all these people are there to fight against me. And I am there to fight against them. And I am there ready to kill them. And then he starts thinking, what am I doing? He says, I am not attached to the kingdom. I have no ambitions that I want to be the emperor of this kingdom or of this country. He says, I have no personal ambitions. I don't want to win the war. That's not why I am fighting. And I don't want to kill them because I want the kingdom. Because I don't want the kingdom. I have no ego. I have no desires. And don't think that I am scared and that's why I am saying I don't want to fight. I am not scared either. It doesn't matter to me if I am killed. So I have no fear, I have no desire, I have no ego. Then why I am fighting this war? Why I am standing to kill these people? I don't want to kill anyone. Why I should kill anyone? I don't want to become a sinner. The history will look at me and say, Arjuna is the one who destroyed his own family tree. He said, I don't want to be called as a mass murderer. So, what he experiences is a panic attack. He says, Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishishyati. That is, my whole body is trembling. I am profusely sweating. My arms have no energy. My bow is falling out of my hand. My mind is unable to think. My intellect, my decision making is not there. I don't know what I should be doing. My mind is not under my command anymore. And he sits down in the chariot. And he says to Krishna that you have been my friend all through my life. You are the only one that I can trust. You are the only one that I can ask advice from. When I am in the most critical situation where I don't know what is right and wrong. I don't know what is good and bad. I don't know what I am doing. I don't know what I should be doing. And I am standing at a point where I might end up as a big bad boy. in the history of mankind. I don't want that. So he drops everything and he sits down in the chariot. You imagine the battleground, two armies standing in front of each other, and the Arjuna asks Krishna to bring his chariot in the middle of the two armies because he wants to look at the armies. And when he looks at them, this is what he says. And this is the starting point of Bhagavad Gita. The starting point is a very critical point. Where it starts.
Sorry, can I be close to the middle? Is it Krishna or...
Krishna drives the chariot of Arjuna. Krishna is a chariot driver.
Okay, so they go together.
Because he is the driver. So he has to take Arjuna wherever Arjuna wants. So in the middle of the battleground, Arjuna is dropping his bow, arrow, crying. He cries there. He has tears. And that's where Bhagavad Gita starts. Now, is this relevant to our life? How important is this background to our life? To be a bad person on the earth, you really don't need much. Right? To be a bad guy, you don't need to try really hard. Right? It just comes easily. To get addicted to something, you really need efforts. You don't need efforts. What needs efforts is walking on the good path. Arjuna was the one who was walking on the good path. Arjuna was the one who had committed himself to be a better person, to be a better human being. And that's why he was having problems. The problems are for the good people. They want to walk the life with values and principles. You think the path of Christ was easy? Path of Buddha was easy? You think people didn't criticize Buddha? You only know his success. You don't know how many times he was criticized. Everything, all the positives in the life that happens or in society, they start with struggle. If you want to change the society, you cannot change suddenly. You have to struggle. You have to fight. When Galileo said the earth was round, was it accepted by people? He was put into the prison. They were going to kill him. But somehow there was some escape route for him and they put him in jail. What happened? After a few years, everyone had to accept that earth is round. All good things that have come, they have come with a struggle. Mahatma Gandhi, who wanted to bring some values. If you want to fight, you can fight it without a weapon. There was a war that he waged. But he had to fight so hard. There was such a hard struggle ahead of him. Anything that happens when you are a good person and you want to change, that happens with struggle. Some scholars, they say Bhagavad Gita is excellent. Bhagavad Gita is excellent. But the background of Bhagavad Gita is not good. It should have been a different background. That's the argument by many people. Even Mahatma Gandhi is one of those. He says that, Bhagavad Gita is excellent. Bhagavad Gita is like a mother to me. But the background is, I don't agree with it. But you have to look at it from the perspective of some masters like Yogi Arvind. You know Yogi Arvind? Aurobindo. You heard about Aurobindo? Pondicherry? Aurobindo. Aurobindo's thoughts on Bhagavad Gita are very critical. He was very, very critical of Mahatma Gandhi when he said background of war is not good. Aurobindo said this is the right background. You don't need spirituality when you are at peace. When you have a peaceful, content, happy life, why do you need to bother about spirituality? The peaceful and content state of mind itself is a spiritual achievement. The problem is we don't have that spiritual peace and contentment. Makes us work hard for spirituality. So the background of this struggle, the fight, the war is the most appropriate background for spirituality. You imagine if all of us were born happy, which we were, and then all through our life we are happy. My baby girl was happy just by switching the button and looking at the fan. If the same thing makes me happy now, I don't need yoga. I need yoga because I have forgotten that. If I switch on, it doesn't make me happy. But if I try and put the button and the fan doesn't go on, then I get angry. That's a change. Strict. No power. What kind of management? Okay. So the background is this, that he is negative, he is stressed, he is anxious, he is depressed. He has the most difficult situation to face. Now, this situation, and now I'll take you to Hatha Yoga. Do you remember the verse from Hatha Yoga? Ashesha tapa taptanam. The one who have misery from the material life and the one who has stress in spiritual life. Hatha Yoga is good for them. You remember this verse? Okay. Patanjali in Ashtanga Yoga, he starts with kleshas. You know klesha? What is klesh? Huh? Klesh. Huh? Pain?
Obstacles of flesh.
That is antarai. Obstacles is antarai. Klesh is
disturbances of the mind.
the one that causes pain, misery, suffering, afflictions. Patanjali starts with negativity, Buddha starts with negativity, Hatha Yoga starts with negativity, so also Bhagavad Gita. You have to make this very clear to yourself. Everything in yoga starts with negative state of mind. So if you are depressed, if you are anxious, you should be happy. Yes, I am the fit person to start yoga. One of the meanings, one of the way to look at it. So what Krishna talks to Arjuna, for whatever, there are 700 verses. If you talk to each other, like if you talk, or if you just chant the whole 700 verses continuously, it takes about 2 hours. So definitely Bhagavad Gita was a discussion of about 2 hours between Krishna and Arjuna. It was a discussion. We need explanation because they were talking in Sanskrit and we need to understand it more. So we take more time. But ultimately it's a 2-hour discussion. So in 2 hours, what had happened? What was the end result of this Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna was depressed, anxious, sad, in pain. And at the end of the 2 hours, he said, now I have the clarity. Now I know what is right for me to do. Now there is no stress. Now I have no anxiety. Now I am not anymore depressed. I have all my energy back. I have a very concentrated, focused and a contained state of mind. That is the aim. So can you call it a psychotherapy, counseling? A depressed man goes to Krishna and Krishna talks to him about 2 hours. And he comes out of that depression forever. Right? Some people say Krishna thinks he is someone like really great. He keeps preaching. But that's not true. Arjuna was Krishna's friend for the last so many years. But Krishna never said anything to Arjuna because Arjuna never asked him. If I know something, I am dying to tell you or tell someone, I know this. So Krishna didn't bother to tell him anything. Krishna only told him when he needed that. When he was sad and depressed. And when he said it, this guy was all relieved out of psychological problems and issues. One way of looking at Bhagavad Gita is it's a positive psychology. When I studied psychology, I studied clinical psychology. What was taught to me? The clinical psychology, the psychological disorders as we call them, mood disorders, that is depression, unipolar, bipolar. Then you talk about anxiety disorders like generalized anxiety, then phobias, and then OCD, obsessive compulsive disorders. All these disorders that I studied, they are called as abnormal psychology. Abnormal psychology. I asked my teacher one simple question. I said, you're saying abnormal psychology. What is normal psychology? And what is supernormal psychology? You're talking about abnormal. So what is normal? The only answer he gave me, something that is not abnormal is normal. And abnormal is defined in the book. See, depression is not abnormal. But if you have depression more than 6 months, then it's abnormal. That's how it is defined. I'm telling you clinical definition, which is valid everywhere in the world. But what is normal? And what is beyond normal? Personality. They talk about abnormal personality. So I happened to meet a very famous psychologist in India who has presented many papers in the world also. So I asked him, abnormal personality, I know. But what is a normal personality? Don't tell me absence of abnormality. He said to me that life is not affected, general life is not affected, general interactions are not affected, your socio-economic activities are not affected, all these things. I said, okay, thank you. Now tell me, what is the direction that you give to the people? Like you're saying abnormal, then there must be normal and there must be something higher up. Absence of abnormality. Okay, understood. What is the direction? He said, I don't know. It's in Bhagavad Gita. I said, don't tell me Bhagavad Gita. I know Bhagavad Gita. You tell me what is in psychology. He said, there's nothing. It's his words. It's not there. Bhagavad Gita has talked about the journey, the direction. The direction that is missing for all of us. If you ask yourself, what do I want in my life? Have you ever asked yourself what I want in life? You say, I need one car, one family, couple of kids, a house, beach. When you have it, is your life fulfilled? No. I need something here more, I need something not there. Now, if someone says, I want money, how much money do you want? $10 million? After you get $10 million, is that all that you want in your life? No. Then I have something else that I want. See, Bill Gates, his dream was to become a successful software entrepreneur. He did it. And now what is he doing? He is doing a research on making some kind of effective, very sustainable toilets. You know this? I'm telling you. There's a recent interview that he gave. He said, I'm working on the toilets. And this other guy, Warren Buffett, number 3 richest man in the world. What is he doing? You know what is he doing? He has given half of his wealth to Bill Gates. Bill Gates has been working on eradicating polio, developing sustainable models, ecologically sustainable models for poor people in the world. So if what he wanted that time is changing continuously. So he doesn't know what he wants 10 years down the line. That's really unpredictable. So we can't really say this is what I want in my life. That is my point. I'm telling you second point now. The first point is the starting point as a negative state of mind. Bhagavad Gita is there. The second point of Bhagavad Gita that I am highlighting is Lord Krishna talks about meaning and purpose of your life. What is the purpose of your life? What is the purpose? What is the objective? What is the goal that you should have in your life? I really don't know. I keep changing. I have seen people changing their life plans 3 times in a week. In TTC, I have seen a person 46 years of age first telling me, I'm going to go to Thailand with this person and I think I like it there, I'm going to settle down there. By the end of that week, the person said, no, I think I'm going to go with my other friend who is from Philippines. And finally he ended up going back to his country in Europe. What kind of... Because we have never been taught. It's not my fault. I'm not blaming that person. I also do that. We all do that, more or less. Today in the morning, Kate asked me what you want to do the next month. I said, I don't know yet. Then she again asked me, any thoughts? I said, I have no thoughts about it. Then again she asked me, but I've been telling you 3 times, I don't know. And then I started thinking, is it something really good answer that I'm giving? I don't know. Why I don't know? But that's a problem. But this problem is solved in Bhagavad Gita. Short-term goals, long-term goals. What I need to do now? Krishna gives guidelines. How can you define what you want in life? How can you define what you want in life? Once you understand the meaning of your life. So Lord Krishna first focuses on the meaning of life. What is the purpose of your life? And it's a very interesting approach. You always love this approach of Krishna. He's talking about equality. He doesn't say, I am God and you are like that. He says, me and you, same. You and him, same. You and the tree, same. You and the animal, same. You all have the same energy. Why there should be discrimination? There's no reason why there should be any discrimination. There's no higher, there's no lower. We all have the same energy. We all have the same divine cosmic spirit. And that cosmic divine spirit is Vishwatma or Paramatma. And the individual spirit that manifests is Atma. Atman, Atma. What you have, Atma. What she has, Atma. What that tree has, Atma. What Kundalini says as Kundalini. What everything is, Kundalini. Krishna says, Atma. Energy, consciousness. So Krishna's understanding is very broad and it extends and it tells you what is the meaning and purpose of life. How to realize it is the next subject. Okay, I came to know that my purpose of life is to reach that higher level of experience which is permanent bliss, Satchidananda. This is the purpose and objective. I want a permanent bliss, which is true, which is the only truth. I want that state of mind where I am always contained and peaceful and happy. He says this is the objective, this is the purpose of your life. And then next he says what is how you realize it. That is the next subject of discussion in Bhagavad Gita. How to reach that. To reach there, to reach that part, Satchidananda state. Krishna says you need to lead a successful life. Krishna says you must be successful. But his success and the success that we understand is different. We will discuss it in Bhagavad Gita. The next is how to reach that purpose. Swami Chinmayananda is the founder of Chinmay Mission. Has anyone heard about Chinmay Mission? You have heard about Chinmay Mission. Swami Chinmayananda said, what is Bhagavad Gita? He said it in a very, very simple manner. He said Bhagavad Gita is an operation manual of human life. Like when you purchase a television, new television, what comes with it? Operations manual, how to plug in, which button to press. If you press this button, this program will play. If you attach this cable here, this is how it's going to be working. But if you mess it up, what happens? Things go really, really bad. One of the examples that one of his disciples, Swami Siddheshananda, I found it very funny. He said, now see what has happened. Nowadays, in the cable television has come, right? And the kids, they know more than the parents. So the channels that needs to be blocked by the parent for the kids block some of the channels for the parents. The problem is parents have not read the operations manual. They don't know how to operate it. Swami Chinmayananda says we all are born, but there is no operation manual that has come out along with us. So how to operate? How to operate this body, mind? Complex. It's a complex. What do you call it? Body, mind, complex. It is indeed complex situation. Do you know how to control your anger? Have you been taught how to control your anger? Have you been taught how to make yourself happy when you are feeling depressed? Have you been taught when you are stressed how to come out of the stress? Do you know that? The answer is no. Because you have never read the operations manual. Right? Bhagavad Gita is an operations manual which teaches you how to reach that meaning and purpose of your life.
So Patanjali does the same, no?
Yes, it does the same.
But what is the difference between the two approaches? One is more intellectual and the other one is more...
What Patanjali has taught,
adventurous.
similarity is there in Bhagavad Gita. But Bhagavad Gita takes you beyond yourself. Bhagavad Gita talks about the divine life. Patanjali talks about you reaching self-realization, you reaching the state of samadhi, the end of all negativity for you. Savitarka samadhi, nirvitarka samadhi. But what happens after that? Once you reach a state of samadhi, Krishna says the life that Bhagavad Gita talks about is the life you live when you are in the state of samadhi. That is why it's called divine life. Divine life. Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh give the same name to his activity called Divine Life Society. What is divine life? What is the life in the heaven that I told you in the story? Is that life which Krishna has described in Bhagavad Gita. And that's when it becomes complete. Otherwise the life doesn't become complete. That's why all the yogis who are self-realized by the practice of Ashtanga Yoga have come back and started helping people. Your life cannot be separated from the things around you. That is Bhagavad Gita.
So we should all be the Christ.
Bhagavad Gita differs. Bhagavad Gita says Christ can be Christ, Buddha can be Buddha, Arjuna can be Arjuna, and Guillaume can be Guillaume.
Yeah, but it's all about giving.
It's all about experiencing that oneness between me and everyone. That's all the life is all about. Tell me one thing. When you want to become happy, what is that happiness? When you want a girlfriend, say you like your girlfriend, you like your partner, you like your wife. Why you like to spend time with her?
Because you can share.
Because you feel one with her. You like particular thing because you can relate to that. You can connect with that. You like a big, nice car because you can connect with it. You like to eat because you want to become one with that experience. That oneness, experience of oneness is something that is inside. How to get it? Sometimes, most of the times we are trying to get it outside. Through all these things. Krishna is discussing about that. So,
From the outside, Krishna is interested in the outside.
No. He's discussing the whole procedure. If you get it from outside, what are the backlashes of that? What are the problems that come with that? So what is the real effort that you should make? That is, try and find it inside. Try and control it inside.
But doesn't Krishna seem to be interested in civilization? Like he's interested in society. He's very different than, say, like the Shiva path, which is more to be a hermit and just like Patanjali's path. They're very different in my mind, I think. And that's probably why there's Vishnu on one side and Shiva's at the other.
They are not different. They are not different. In chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna has discussed is Patanjali's path. But after chapter 6, what he starts is that divine life. First, I become self-realized. First, I try and achieve a little higher state, and then I try and first, how he has divided the sections, I'll tell you. The first six chapters, he's talking about the journey inwards. The soul-centered, Atma-centered direction. Look in. Experience it. Evaluate it. Study. Try and see who you are. Who you really are. That's the question. Once you know who you are the Atman. You are the pure consciousness. You are not the physical body. Once you come to that state of samadhi, where you identify with the cosmic, with the higher reality inside, then you start living on that level. And when you live on that level, when you look outside, what do you see? And then what do you do? Is that divine life. That is the subject of next 6 chapters. So first 6 chapters, he talks about self-realization. Once a person reaches that level, what is his thinking? What is his feelings? What are his actions? Is the discussion.
As a psychologist, what do you think of this oneness? There's a lot of people in the world, they get this oneness,
You have experienced it.
No, maybe. But I'm really interested in violence.
Violence.
Studies about that. Yeah, and violence could be a really romantic way of getting this oneness. You know,
Violence.
yeah, it's a wrong path. I know, but it's the same. It could be stronger than love to get this oneness. You know, there's always one side and the other side. So the other side of Bhagavad Gita could be
Bhagavad Gita
this violence, this war.
Krishna told Arjuna that you have to decide what is good for you. Arjuna says fighting is good for me. At the end, he said, okay, good, fight.
At the end of Bhagavad Gita.
At the end, Arjuna gets up and fights. Fights the war, wins the war, kills many people.
I think my idea is that the human are so desperate, they so full of pain and so full of lack of this oneness that they reach it through violence. So that it's a weak love that leads to this violence. You know, it's a kind of.
Give me an example.
For example, a killer, a man very alone in life, with no emotions, no sensual pleasure, no contact with people. Okay, he kills someone, and he really gets close to him by listening his pain.
That's psychopath.
Yes, that's a psychopath, but they are human, and when they are free.
That's not oneness.
For example, American people in this prison, you know,
I'll tell you.
They did the same. They torture. So
I'll tell you what Krishna says about life. Krishna says about life says this is a cosmic will. The life that we have got is not what you demanded. You have received it. The life that I am born with, 2 eyes, no one nose, 1 mouth, 2 arms, 2 legs. I am born with that. I have no choice. If someone wants to hurt you when you are very young, you have no awareness. What is your natural reaction? To run and hide behind your mother or father. Run behind your mother, because there is a natural instinct to live. Who has brought this instinct? It's not you. You don't even know. This is where the divine will is functioning through you.
the divine will.
Yes. So you live your life. That's the will of the divine. He or she wants you to live this life. The design that we have, we don't know. The baby doesn't know, but its heart beats. Baby doesn't know that the brain functions. Baby doesn't know the digestive system works. Even if the baby says, whatever, the body still keeps functioning. Because it's not in your birth, is not under your control. Something has made you, forced you to come in this life. Krishna is talking about that. Krishna says the life has to go on. That is the divine will. That is the reality. Every life. But then in what form? How is the subject of discussion in Bhagavad Gita. So if someone is not connected with anyone, that's a negative life, straight away. Like the psychopath story you said.
That's
That's
because I think because the society is weak, but I also think that it's an instinct.
That's a wrong instinct. That's what Krishna says. Krishna defines it. I can support it with many things that Krishna has said in a negative way.
This is all happening before Patanjali and the Jains and all this stuff, right?
Yes.
So this concept of ahimsa didn't exist with Krishna at that point? Did he know the idea of like, you're not supposed to start slaughtering everyone? Because that's what he preached.
Krishna's concept of non-violence is much more logical.
Besides Lord, I mean, ultimately he's killing people, so that's
actually the Jains and the Buddhist view of non-violence is ridiculous. The life is not possible without any violence.
I think it's very possible, and people prove that it's possible. So, I mean, that's...
Nature also results in violence many times. What do you ask about tsunami? Who's doing that? The whole balanced world comes with Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. You cannot live without taking other life. The resources are limited. How you growing? How you building your life? You're taking out some other resources. The higher and higher we start understanding that, the lower and lower your the actions that support stronger levels of violence and what lower levels of violence. What is stronger level? If you cut an animal, its arm.
That's right.
The arm is not going to grow again.
But it's relative, right? So the Jains would say, okay, you're right. Maybe I am going to kill a bacteria, and that's true. But it doesn't mean now that that same idea means I'm going to now kill people. So start slaughtering armies and killing animals and doing all these things. That's completely, like, it is a relative scale.
Understand
and any Jain would tell you that. It's not saying, they're not stupid saying that they know that they can't.
What you would do if there are terrorists, they're killing people? What would you do with them?
I think a Jain would just prefer to die at that point.
Krishna says, kill him.
Yeah.
That's the big difference between...
And Buddha would not. So
Jain,
they're very different, those two.
Osho. You know Osho?
Yeah.
Acharya Rajneesh. He was Jain by birth.
Yeah,
he was a professor of philosophy in one of the Indian universities. Very thorough man with philosophy, Vedanta philosophy, Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Sutras. He has written maximum on Bhagavad Gita. One chapter, this thick book, 18 chapters, this stack of books on Bhagavad Gita. He was the biggest fan of Krishna. He said, if Arjuna had the problem, let's bring Jesus Christ to talk to Arjuna and solve his problems. Let's bring Gautam Buddha to come and solve the problems of Arjuna, or Mahavir, Jain master, to solve the problems. All three would tell him, you're right, don't fight. Let's go into the forest, come with me. I can tell you more morality and ethics and all that. And that will help you. And you will be self-realized. That's it, no problem for you. Krishna was the only one who pointed out that when you are thinking like this, you're selfish. When you are thinking like this, you are running away from your dharma. For that, you need to define dharma. And for that, you need to understand the word balance. In the forest, if there's too many antelopes, lions grow. Number of lions, they increase. When the number of lions increase, the antelope number goes down. When they go down, the lions go down. It's a very fine balance in nature. You cannot say that this is violence and this is not violence. Violence and non-violence have to be understood in perspective of one word, balance in the nature. When we are exploiting nature, we are doing violence. When we are cutting trees randomly, we are doing violence. Violence is very tricky word. The problem with Buddhism and Jainism, they are big problems. I can tell you, elaborate it. That is one of the major reasons why Buddhism was rooted out of India. Major problems happened here. And a social problem, social, economic, cultural issues, big troubles were started. So you cannot indiscriminately propose violence. Now say some people say that Mahatma Gandhi was excellent man, he did non-violence, he got you freedom. if you don't stick to the ancient concept of non-violence. Let's take modern concept of non-violence, Mahatma Gandhi. But then I asked them one question. It was British government. That's why Mahatma Gandhi survived. If it was Hitler, and Hitler would be ruling India, and Mahatma Gandhi wanted to fight a non-violence war, what would happen? Would he survive one day?
You can't answer that question.
You have seen the history.
That's
You've seen the history.
That question can't, that makes no sense, that question. Because remember the idea of ahimsa, if you have true ahimsa, it's going to spread. So when Gandhi had his ahimsa, he spread it into the British people as well. The British themselves were wondering, wow, this is something really special.
Do you know why India got?
British were scared because there were so many.
You know why India got independence? Let me tell you why India got
Is it not
independence.
the soul? There is people with that interest, no?
I'll tell you this history why India became independent. In 1945, the British had lost all their resources in their country because of the Second World War. Their country was in complete ruins. They had nothing left in the country. They had no capacity to control remotely any problems in India. In that, what had happened was 8 battalions of the military, Indian military, which was Indians in it, provoked by the freedom fighters, not Mahatma Gandhi, Savarkar, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. I am telling you other names which you don't know, which in India are very famous. These people instigated are the words by British. We say they motivated them, and the armies revolted against the British. So the Viceroy, the main governing man in India, he wrote a letter to the Queen. The army is not in our control. This was the reason why they had to leave. And why the army started revolting? Because many people they killed. The Indians were killed by the British because they were fighting. So ultimately this freedom was there because of this and not Mahatma Gandhi. This is a well-known documented fact which you can actually read through the British history. These letters are there. So British were happy that they have Mahatma Gandhi. That's why it took such a long time for India to get freedom. I am directly telling you something that has very powerful repercussions. It's very difficult to contain violence. There was no time in the history of mankind when there was no violence. There will be no time in the history of mankind when there will be no violence. What is violence? Conflict of ideas, fight of thoughts. That's violence. You killing a tree or you killing an animal, we don't treat that as violence. That's for you supporting your life. The yogis don't need it, so they eat fruits. But that's the extreme achievement. When they have renounced everything, they have got up over all their steps in their life. But for us, it's difficult. When I say something strong, it's a violence. When I stand up for my rights and I say, I will not let you do this, there's a starting of violence. Violence is there on all levels. You're just talking about physical violence. You're just talking about killing this and killing that. But if I say something strong to you, it's a violence. So violence, without violence, there is nothing possible. Without friction, there is nothing possible. And Krishna didn't start the war. Krishna didn't say that, oh, let's go and attack them. It was not an attack. It was a defense. It was a defense. But then Krishna told him that it is important that you should have a proper structures in society, ideals in society, values in society. ethics and morale in society. He tells Arjuna, if you don't fight this war, the bad people will be the king and queen, and they will give the direction to the society. That will destroy the whole structure of the society. In 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyam paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha vishrutam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge. He says, the cosmic spirit, the divine soul, when there is a degradation, devaluation of values, ethics and morality in society, the cosmic spirit takes reincarnated or comes into life, reincarnates itself and works to protect the good, destroy the evil and re-establish the righteous values. That's the verse. Now if you look at Buddha, Buddha is regarded as one of the incarnations of God. After Krishna, who comes? Is Buddha. A person who is talking about non-violence, how can you call him incarnation of Krishna? For that again you have to see what Buddha did. It will be clear to you. Krishna, the concept of heaven and hell I started talking about in the last lecture. I am still answering their question. I am not going back to my points yet. But I think that will also help you. The hell story, what was that about? That was all about self. When you talk about selfish, what do you call as selfish? Me, myself, my desires, my possessions, my ego. Desire, my ego. Kama and krodha. Kama is desires, krodha is ego, that is anger, aggression. Krishna in chapters of Bhagavad Gita has clearly said there are 3 doors to the hell. Narakasya dwaram. Naraka is hell. Dwar is gates. Krishna says there are 3 doors of the hell. Which are the 3 doors? Kama, desire. Krodha, anger, ego. And lobha, greed. 3 doors of hell.
Ego, greed and what? Ego, greed and
desire. Kama. But it starts with kama. Let me explain this. This is an important concept in Bhagavad Gita. And why I said about Buddha? Because Buddha has again said the same thing. Kama, krodha and lobha are the ones that you should live. Trishna, he has called, instead of kama word, he has used the word Trishna. He has said that objects which are impermanent, that you are attached to, so leave it. That's what Krishna calls as desire. Nirvana word means dissolution of ego. The Buddhist monks or the Jain monks, they work for dissolution of ego and they give up their desires. Essentially, this desire, ego and fear. Fear leads to greed. These 3, fear, desire, ego, are considered the doors of hell by Krishna in reality. Krishna tried to remove it, Buddha tried to remove it, Mahavir tried to remove it, Patanjali tried to remove it, Hatha Yoga masters tried to remove it, Christ tried to remove it. Can you see this? Similarities? This is what Krishna is talking about. Kama, a desire. Why is that? It's a two-way sword. If you have a desire, Either you will fulfill it or you will not fulfill it. If you have a desire, if you fulfill it, what happens? You are happy and that's it. More and more desires. If I get to eat something nice, I want that more and more. I have more desires. And if you have a desire and you don't get to satisfy it, what happens?
Anxious, mistrust, angry.
Krodha. If you have kama, that is desire, if you don't fulfill it, it results in krodha, aggression, anger, ego. Ego takes charge. And if you have desire and you fulfill it, you have more desire, greed. So kama, not fulfilled, krodha, kama, fulfilled, lobha. Right?
Desire makes you, without desire you can't have a house, have family, have children, and without greed you can't build your own garden, except if your ancestor had some greed before you, and without fear you can survive.
Why not?
Because as you said, for your baby, she goes under her mother, because if she don't, she will be killed. Without this fear instinct that is essential to survive. It depends on. I think something is always true and wrong. It depends. It depends how you look it and when you look it. No?
If you have a desire to eat the food because you are hungry, what is the reason for your hunger? Is it the taste or is it the need for food?
It's a need, yeah.
Need for food. Only fulfill, only eat so that your body is nourished. Don't eat because you like it or you don't like it. Krishna is not saying don't eat. Krishna is not saying that don't do this or don't do that. He says understand why you are doing it. There is a role that you need to play to bring the balance. So now the word balance comes into picture. If there is a cup of coffee, you drink it, makes you happy. But if there is a cup of coffee and then someone says that it's my cup, then you feel bad. Oh, that's not mine. That should be avoided. Whether I drink it or whether I don't drink it, I'm happy. I have no attachment to it. Because I'm not attaching my happiness to anything that is related to my desire or my ego or my greed. If we understand this, then many of our problems will be solved. No one will kill randomly. Because I don't want to kill someone. Why not to kill someone? I am content with him. I have no aggression and ego. I have no anger. At the same time, I have no desire. Why people are killing each other? Because I want what you have and you are not giving it to me. So I know how to take it with force. I kill you. Otherwise, I will kill you because you don't believe in what I believe. That is ego again.
It's a family of desires now. For example, you're building here one place, heaven and earth, spreading yoga and good values, and it's friendly to nature, to Mother Earth. Okay, it's a kind of desire. It's a desire, no?
Desire to become one with the nature.
Yeah, but also
that desire is there because we have destroyed the nature in the city life.
I understand. I fully agree with you. I feel really different, and it's a shame. But your own desire is to be a bright light. Is to shine. For us, you're shining. You like to make fun, and we like to hear you. I mean that.
No, that's nice of you.
Your desire is precious. Without this desire, maybe you should be under a bamboo tree and okay, it's samadhi, but you will disappear, no?
You can only support this if you understand Bhagavad Gita. But to support that Bhagavad Gita, I even gave you example of Gautam Buddha. We are all at a very lower level. Buddha was already very high level. But he came back and he started helping people. Because there must be something that he must have felt. He must have felt that need, that desire to do it. Must have been desire, there is no doubt about it. What you are saying is true. I agree. But that desire was not with kama, krodha and lobha. Then Krishna has even said it. Any violence, any anger, any desire that is not for yourself, that is not for your own ego, and that is not for your selfish purposes, is acceptable. And he says it is dharmala avirodhi kam. The one that supports dharma, the desire that supports dharma is my manifestation. So he tells Arjuna that the war that you are fighting, if you are not fighting it for yourself, if you are not fighting it to take revenge, that is your ego. If you are not fighting it to become the king, that is not for your desires. You are fighting the war because you want the right values to win and to establish the ideal in front of the society and generations to come. That this is the way to live life. Not to destroy other people, not to disturb other people, not to kill randomly, not to abuse women, not to abuse innocent people. If your war is to protect all these, then your war, you are not fighting, I am fighting. Says it. Krishna says it, I am fighting the war. And in the first chapter, Arjuna says that I have no desire. I don't want anything. I don't want to kill anyone.
It's interesting because that's what, like, when I learned some Portuguese history from my parents and that, and they used to say the same thing, that we used to say, we came here and we came to India and we would kill people if they didn't accept certain things because it wasn't for ourselves, it was for actually the whole world, for them to all be Christians and so were they, so that means they had the right dharma in that case.
Krishna has clearly dissociated himself from this concept of religion and concept of what I believe. That's why
what I mean is they did it selflessly. These guys came on boats and they went, they didn't really expect anything. They were priests and monks. These guys really.
But Krishna has not said that you have to work for certain god or certain idea. He says very simple thing. If you are not what the religious people did, it was their ego. The ego of calling themselves some kind of crusaders.
Yeah, they were.
That was the ego.
They were crusaders.
Yeah,
but they felt they were selfless in that sense.
Yeah, but Krishna has specifically talked about that idea of ego. And that's why he has said, don't do that. That's exactly what he's highlighting. That's what he's saying is the worst thing to do. So this is not justified. It's not justified. It's not justified.
Because that's the problem with Islam now. They feel, many of them are very selfless in their fighting against consumerism.
But it is through their ego. It is through their ego.
It's hard to say. I really can't say because I don't know. I'm not.
The levels of ego are like your individual ego, the one that protects your body. That's your ego. But when I hurt I say something bad to your kid or wife, I will not, but for example, saying, what do you say? Don't hurt my whatever, my mom. Why you get hurt? If physically it's not you, Why you feel it? Because your ego has expanded and you have incorporated that. Now if someone else comes and says something to you, you say, no, they're my friends from advanced group. Don't say that to them. What is that? Me saying that my ego, part of my ego, is taking you in. And I identify with that. Then I am living yoga path. Suppose tomorrow someone comes and says, this yoga is really XYZ. Believe, 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 believe. What I'm going to say? You're right? I'll fight. He says, you don't know. You did. No. It will be anger will be there. Why someone calling yoga stupid path makes me angry? Because my ego is identifying with that. Same thing goes out to religion. If I am following certain religion, then I have an idea that that is me. And Krishna is opposed to this prototyping. He just gets out of it. He says, stop it. This is not what it is. And that's why he explains the nature of the cosmic self. That will shock you guys. The way he describes where to look for him. He's saying, going to the ocean is me. The animals, the lion, the elephant, the snakes, the mountains, they're me. Is this a religious idea? When a self expands to everything that you see outside, it doesn't matter whether you believe in Krishna or not. And in one chapter, he says, those people who identify me in the body are idiots. He says that. There is a concept. People identify him as a beautiful man with like dark complexion and with the peacock feather on his head, playing flute or having a wheel in his hand. He says if someone identifies me like that, he's an idiot. It's in Bhagavad Gita. I can read out the verse for you. You can read any meaning of that verse. You will understand what I am saying. So he is basically trying to break the prototype concepts that we all have. And he says these prototypes, these conditionings, they come out of our desires and ego. Basically desires and ego. The greed also he keeps it aside. The more focus is on desire and ego. That's where he is focusing on. And the ego has to be understood with its expanded nature. And that's why if you want to see a real person who has no ego, Buddha, people went to him and the people who blamed him, he accepted them as well. He didn't say follow me. He didn't say I will baptize you and you will be a Christian. Jesus Christ was never baptized. Was he?
He was baptized by John the Baptist.
That is all stories. The real story, he was never baptized. He was a Jew, he was not a Christian. Buddha was never a Buddhist. Because he never changed his religion. You understand my point? So this has to be understood.